Hi, Adam. How are you? How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Great. Oh,
Let me get my.
let me just send us quick text real quick.
Yep, that's fine.
Thank you. Okay. Work calls all day long. I was at a career fair today and probably had 10 phone calls. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well.
Got a trim haircut there going. Is that your
Yes.
spring
Yep.
look?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm glad.
um, so are you still? So what was the career fair at Fair
So
State, or
today it
are you
was
still
at
working there?
UDM,
Oh, okay.
right? And then Friday is the career fair at Lawrence. And
Okay.
then next Thursday is the career fair at University of Michigan,
Hmm.
which, as it turns out, because I'm so brain dead, I'm actually double booked. I'm flying to Austin that morning, so I have to send two of my Wolverines
Oh, yeah.
to service the career fair in Ann Arbor, and I'm disappointed in that because I like that career fair because I see some people that I know usually,
Hmm.
but more importantly, the uh, the addition, right, to the Ann Arbor, to Michigan's School of Architecture building is well under construction now, and
Yep.
I'd like to see it. It's a Preston Scott Cohen piece, and I met Preston a few months ago. I think I met him in like November, and
Okay.
we might be doing some things together. And as it turns out, he's the architect for that piece, and he was talking to me with considerable animation and excitement about the piece, which is classic Preston,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Do you know him or his work?
Um, I'm trying. I can't remember the name, which buildings in particular, but I know I've
Yeah, his maybe I don't want to say masterpiece, but I think his most important piece is the Tel Aviv Museum, the art museum in Tel Aviv, Israel.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about you and your project, and wondering how, kind of wondering without the benefit of like talking to you for the last couple of weeks, how you were going to approach uh, the ship in the bottle, right?
Hmm.
And how you were going to approach the bottle. So
Right.
I think those two things in their simplest terms are kind of what I want to walk away with tonight, but I want you to lead that conversation. So if we touch on those two things, I'm going to be happy.
Okay. Yes, I'll share my screen.
Good. Nice drawing. Did you construct that?
Yeah.
Good for you. Was that fun?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of tedious work, but a lot of nice
It's right on the mark. I can tell it's
detailing.
I can tell it's accurate.
Yeah, yeah. So what's interesting is that like with my work, I'm trying to go for uh, a function that is modular, whereas a lot of traditional architecture functional or modular aesthetic to it. That there are these different interchangeable parts, and it's uh, up to the designer to figure out what exactly they want to do with that. It's a bit of a side note, but so I'll have each a window is a spandrel panel.
Yeah.
So I don't have a proposed elevations, which I'll be able to get that together for the benchmark review. But the top half of each of these are spandrel panels. I'm thinking of just taking those out, bringing a lot more, essentially doubling the amount of natural light in the building from just the west facade. Then on the going over to the south facade, which is almost identical to the north. There's on the west end there are these filled-in windows I found. Those I can open up, bring in more natural light that way. Same thing on the south end, spandrel panels. Those can go. Because for my building, I don't need a lane ceiling or anything.
So
I'm not exactly
Adam. Why do you think they introduced spandrel panels?
To cover up the utilities and lower the ceiling
to lower the ceiling. So I think part of your, I mean, certainly, you know, so I think you just sort of have to reposition the order of things, right? You say you're eliminating the lay-in ceiling and the light fixtures and the mechanical systems that serviced the spaces that were once classrooms that were converted into office space, right? Mm-hmm. To allow for the physical ship in the bottle thing to happen, right? And in so doing, it permitted you to introduce new glazing where it once was by eliminating the spandrel.
Mm-hmm.
The lowered ceiling was the driver for the spandrel.
Yeah, right. Yep. And then I'm not exactly sure what would all change with the prefab metal building at this point, because it's not really gonna. I'm not really thinking of changing the function of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I don't think we know. I don't think you know what goes on inside of it, but you know, you could do something to you could paint it.
Yeah.
Right. You could introduce some signage on it, and maybe the signage is painted signage, right? You could do something. I don't want you to do a Best Buy, right? But if you look at a Best Buy, it's just a dumb box with a wonky, bright, vivid Best Buy logo as a kind of a pylon or a like an armature in front of the dumb box.
Yeah.
You follow that explanation? So, I mean, that you could introduce a new door, a new entryway, or a new main entrance, or something to it. It doesn't have to be the way that it is. But I guess what I'm saying is it can be anything it wants to be that suits the program that you're going for.
Right.
But it can be as minimal as paint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These are the north and south elevations of that.
Yep.
Right now it's just a chain link fence, so that can be changed out into something a lot nicer. Sure. Maybe bring in so just anything else at this point than just a chain link fence. Yeah, maybe bring have some vines growing up it.
Sure.
And, bring some life to it. And then like the doors, like the overhead door, that can become a glass door, letting more light there. Then here's some. I just enlarged some of the details of that because I wasn't sure how it's going to show up on the. Because I know on my screen it kind of blurs everything, all the lines together. But.
Yeah, it looks good here.
I was able to get a good estimate as to where like the floor levels are.
Yep.
I'm just assuming that they're equal height, so that would
probably
put the floor pretty much right dead center within that brick detail between the window head and the next windowsill. And then remember the that sketch I did of the base of the modular wall panel?
Yes.
Using. So this is the grid for that. the floor plate that would go together. So I laid that out. Everything's 16 inches on center holes, and then each of these panels would be able to be disassembled into pieces no larger than the size of a basic door. So most of them are about 2 foot, or what the 3 foot. Wait, what's that? 2 foot 8 by 6 foot 8 is what it
So
ends up,
the rectangle with the holes in it is 2 foot by 6 foot, 2 foot 8 by 6 foot.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they get chamfered or triangulated to suit the condition.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I did kind of a test fit. I'm going to show an actual fixtures, but just to show how this could possibly be laid out. I should bring in some like hatch to fill in the walls, and of course have the doors and windows. But just zoom in on that. But I think it can work. Nothing's lavishly large for any of these spaces, but I think they're all very workable.
So I'm wondering, Adam. No, the bathroom's fine. Actually, the bathroom's very big. The bathroom could be smaller. You could do that 5 by 8 easily, and that would privilege more space for the closet and the corridor and the link into the bedroom. So like if this was a prison room or a prison cell, there wouldn't be any walls, right? The toilet and the bed and a sink and maybe a bench, they'd all be kind of like built in, and everything would be out in the open. Obviously we do that for security, but I'm not suggesting that you don't do walls here, but I just want you to be not cautious. I want you to be deliberate about walls in the sense that like I kind of see walls separating dining from kitchen and kitchen from utility. And I think your instincts are there. I think you're good with everything. I think the length of the living room wall into that bedroom area is about right, but maybe we don't need that wall at all. For example, that little tab, right, that comes off of that bathroom wall where the 6'3" dimension is. So I just want you to. I guess I would struggle to reconcile affordability and flexibility and cost in such a way that walls could be minimal, interchangeable, removable, adaptable, pivotable. You know what I'm saying? Slidable. I guess be purposeful. Have some deliberate position and attitude about what is a wall, what is it made of? Because I guess I don't want you to like look at the wall as like all of this innovation is going on, and then I don't want you to default right to Home Depot studs and drywall with tape and mud as the wall. The wall needs to be kind of like innovative, like everything else that it's sitting under. You follow?
Right. Yep. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure where I'll go with that, but I know I can.
But I think it kind of goes back to the Airstream trailer, right? Remember all those convos? And talking about like convertibility and can walls just be a curtain or a sliding translucent and plexiglass panel in a metal or aluminum kind of frame, or can it be plywood, like barn door hardware with plywood sheets? I don't know, but I'd like you to start thinking about that a little bit harder.
Okay. Yep.
Because if this is only 2 bedrooms, you know, there's not a lot of noise here, and there's not a lot of like, I mean, these are fairly spare and minimal, and I love that about them, but I just feel like, you know, you have to show clear intention.
Right.
The bedrooms could be smaller.
Yeah.
Is that 12 foot and 10 foot 5 1/8 based on? Is there some purpose to that? Is there some like basis for that, Adam?
I can't remember why it was.
I want to make sure
I think the 10 foot 5 1/8. It's not a specific number. It could be smaller, but just 12 inches less on each side than the.
So again, what is the wall? Is
Rectangle
it studs from Home Depot with drywall and maybe some sort of exterior siding, or is it 4 by 8 sheets of you know, drywall or OSB or particle board or corrugated metal? I mean, is there a module or a dimensional sort of virtue to these things so that the 12 foot and the 10 foot 5 1/8 actually work to a material module, so that the wall lengths and depths and widths and all of that stuff actually makes some sense, so that materials aren't wasted by having or being, you know, being necessary for them to be cut to make your dimension. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cool.
And then moving on to a sort of a test fit of the space.
This is
so I want to bring in a good combination of both. Be able to bring in a lot of houses into one space, but also leave communal space in between things. Just organize the communal space based on where the are into the building. And then along the back, there's all this mess of different additions over time. I think with those, in order, it could be advantageous just to demolish those and then bring in a glass along the east side, looking out into this outdoor space along the east side, in the east, and then bring in plenty of daylighting through the walls, and then.
Or maybe it's not glass. I can imagine that's going to be like, you know, Conair sash and glass, expensive. It might be more interesting not to have glass. It might be more interesting to do some sort of like a translucent polycarbonate panel, like a honeycomb, like a 1 inch thick or 1.5 inch thick, 2 foot by 18 foot tall honeycomb insulated polycarbonate panel to bring light in, but also provide like insulative value. Like you've been to campus lately, haven't you? Have you seen the new Morphosis building?
They were finishing up when I was last out there.
So the curtain wall is this translucent sort of lantern at night, but it lets daylight into the space. So it's not, and I kind of see like that as like a possibility. You do have as many yurts on the west facade, if you will, as you do on the east facade. And it's kind of hard for me to understand, like, quite simply, where the front doors are and how we get from the front door to the communal space, how we circulate to like stairways and elevators in these floor plates. Those things aren't drawn yet, and you'll want to include those here as well, because I don't want you to stub your toe on those pesky but important details. But like, I guess from inside the yurt in the living room, we want to be able to see out to the landscape beyond, right?
Right. Yeah.
And this density of 4 per like bay as many as you can fit? And I mean, so
Like,
what's driving the density is where I'm going.
Because I had the thing with the interchangeable rooms attached to the outside, so I wanted to leave some space around. And I wanted to still have like a sufficient amount of communal space to types of program, like when my wife and I lived at the apartment. One thing we did enjoy was having the fitness center there, and not having to buy expensive workout and exercise equipment or have to drive somewhere. And
right.
So there's an advantage to that.
So the communal space is just not, it's not just simply leftover space where there ain't a yurt. It's actually going to be intentional space. It's going to have programs.
Yes. What was the word used in those developments you're showing us in Detroit? Of the there's these like the winding path between the buildings.
Oh, the muse. That's the word I use. It's like an English garden pathway. MEWS.
Okay. MEWS. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not sure if I have any renderings showing this for this benchmark, but for one of the following benchmark reviews, I want to have a rendering that can show like different events.
Yeah, like the way the whole space. Right, good idea. But you could allude to that here.
Yeah.
You or at least talk to it.
Because like during the winter, people aren't gonna walk around and look at Christmas lights. They normally have to drive around. But here you'd have this indoor festival or a party that's community wide, and people can come through and see all the decorated houses, or like if it's raining on Halloween, these people can still trick or treat, take their kids around. Then I'm sure there's plenty of other ideas I could come up with, different events they could have.
Cool.
Yeah. Do you know who the reviewers were going to be? I can't remember if you said on.
Yeah. So Lindsay Woods, one of the project managers and architects in our office, and Michael DeCoster. Okay. He's an associate, and he's one of our vice presidents.
Okay.
I'm going to be sending them tomorrow the grade sheets.
Okay. Yeah, and there wasn't, I don't think, anything about my project description to change. It's still fundamentally the same project.
Right. Cool. Anything else we want to go over?
Yep. It'd be nice to show something inside the prefab metal building, some sort of program going on there. But I'm not sure exactly how.
I think you can think about that, and maybe you can get some feedback on that point. But for now, I think you need to show it as relegated to that, right?
Okay.
It's for research and development. It's going to have it plays a supportive role, but the focus of the thesis is in this relationship of the modular housing as an infill component within the existing building. I guess I'm still. It's not that I'm struggling. It's just that I feel like, well, maybe I am struggling. I feel like there's some things that are moving towards arbitrariness, and therefore, but not at the expense of, but in support of prettiness that I'm frustrated by or concerned about. Here's what I want to say. You know how I mentioned maybe elevators and stairways. Like you're going to have those. You're going to have an elevator,
Of course.
and you're going to have fire stairs, and they're already in the building. And there's probably a big, there's probably a big like central stair right in the central communal space. So I think you need to illustrate where those things are. Also, down the down the very middle column line is probably right where the 8-foot wide corridor is, right? The old school. And the classrooms are on the east side, you know, double loaded corridor. Classrooms are on the east side, classrooms are on the west side. And I feel like you've not addressed the demising walls between the classrooms, although I see the line work, the east-west line work for that. But you've also not indicated or maybe shown me how you're coping with that old corridor. And it seems like the corridor that leads us to these stairways has still got to be present. The stairways for sure have to be present, but maybe the corridor does too. But maybe it doesn't have to be corridor walls with doorways into the classrooms. Maybe that corridor is opened up and it's a series of grand arches, you know, taking out walls where the lockers were. I'm just spitballing here because I kind of got a hunch that that's what's in those hallways, so that you get kind of like the appearance of a Roman aqueduct running north and south, right? That's like the old walls of the corridor, and that can create some sort of like tensional element within this sort of plan, but it clearly divides the plan into left-hand and right-hand conditions, and I think it seems like that's going to create some pressure on the composition. It seems like it's going to create the condition where the temporary housing has to be more respectful of the stuff that's there,
right,
and less about arbitrariness in pursuit of prettiness. I don't know how to say it any clearer than that, Adam.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it could be that the layout, I'm just spitballing here again, the layout of the temporary housing is just kind of like, this is where they can go, right? Each one kind of takes up a classroom, and these are the bays of the classroom, and this makes sense. And I can get this many in on this side, and I can get a more or less symmetrical configuration on the opposite side. And then you erase one of them so that you can promote a community space, for instance. That kind of thing.
Okay.
I think that will show us on Monday a more clear indication of how you're looking at the bottle and how you're looking at the ship in the bottle. So I really appreciate the plan, but I also want to make sure that you show as much of the context as possible.
I'll add in the
I see the curb lines and all of that. I don't know that I'd handle the parking lot as a large scale hatch. I think I would show parking spots. You could stipple it, but I don't know that I'd put a hatch on it.
Okay.
And you may want to color code the plan so that the architecture is sort of distinguished from the building, or from the site, so that parking and building don't kind of blur together. Because if you take that hatch out, it's not going to be that clear.
Okay.
Now, can you close this?
And
type in your browser Co-op Himmelblau. Do you know that work? Their work?
No, I don't.
COOP. Next word HIMMELBLAU. Co-op Himmelblau. They did a museum in Akron. Can you pull that Akron or Canton? I think it's Akron. It's in Ohio.
Akron Art Museum?
Yeah, can you pull that up?
Yep.
I'm not hearing you say good grief or wow or awesome. Yeah, you need to go to images.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So do you appreciate why I'm showing this? Look at the original building. So actually, I know you're looking at their site, but I think I'd like you to look at Google Images. Okay, that's a good example. Like,
yeah,
that's
this is the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was the original art museum, and it probably had a whole bunch of like old men in tweed coats, smoking pipes, looking at, you know, impressionist paintings and purring. But they outgrew that. They outgrew that demographic. They outgrew that space, and they wanted something that was contrary architecturally to the old dowdy chassis. And so they hired a star architect, right, to create something that was contrary and at the same time would draw attention to the mission of art in the community of Akron. And boy, did they, right?
Yeah.
So this thing's like, well, it's preposterous. That cantilever is enormous. I'm not saying that I want you to do this, but I want you to notice that there is a possibility of creating that kind of tensional condition, not only on the outside, but on the inside. And I think they do that. Now, if you can go to Co-op Himmelblau as just a firm and type, and then just go to images, I want to have you look at one of their very first pieces from the like 1980s. Okay, the first image, second row. Capiche? Now go back, and I want you to look at a couple of other iterations of this. That's actually kind of a funky picture. Go to maybe a couple of the images that are in the highlighted section, in the little boxes. Oh, that's back to the art museum again. There's another one. This is a later one. I go back to their matrix of images and scroll down. Keep going. Take it all the way down. Maybe type in Vienna. I think that's where they are. Okay, the first image on the left, or the third image. That's a better image. Either the, yeah, that's what I'm, go back to the first one. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So this is kind of like, that tension, right? And this is about maybe, you know, this is like moss on wood siding. This is kind of predatory. This is like a barnacle on a dock, right? Yeah. And they end up coexisting architecturally by creating that condition of contrast. If you scroll or move to a couple of the other images, for example, and go to the second image on the top, that's inside of that base. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it doesn't have to be anywhere, but maybe, Adam, maybe like the upper, like the communal spaces are in the corners like this, and maybe something parasitic or passively parasitic or predatory parasitic, right, happens to the old building to engage the discussion about what's kind of going on inside of the old schoolhouse. Maybe it's just kind of a nod or a wink, the way that this piece by them is. So I guess I'm trying to, cause you to think a little bit harder about this tension and all of the other ways that it could manifest itself.
Okay.
Cool. Have you ever heard of their work?
No, I haven't.
Well, the museum's only 3 hours away. I was actually thinking that we would go there for our field trip this year, but we didn't get to it. So maybe if I do it next year, we can. Oh, look at the image at the bottom. Go back to where you were just a moment ago. Keep going down. Let's see. It was the one that looked like it was, I guess, the image next to the drawing where you see the cornice with the gash in it. Yeah.
This one?
No, the one below it. Yeah. Second one on the, yep. Wow. This was all part of an epoch in architecture called deconstructivism, where we took things apart to reveal their essence, their formal like character, and then reassembled it. But it was an act of invasion, right? And a proactive sort of rejuvenation effort. So it was kind of an interesting thing. So I'd like you to think about that.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you ready for Monday?
I will be.
I'm glad to hear that. Excellent. Well, I'm supposed to be meeting with Heather too tonight, but I've invited her.
I think she.
Twice.
I thought you signed up for like 8 o'clock or something.
Oh shoot! Really? I am totally spent, and I kind of want to take care of Heather now. I emailed her. Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yep.
Let me know if you have any questions over the weekend.
Will do.
Okay, thanks, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye. You too. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me now. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we had a chance to visit today before the Monday review, and to give you a chance to pose any questions that you might have, and we can take care of those, and I'll let you get back to work.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, one of my questions that I have is, what are you looking for on Monday?
So I feel like the Monday conversation should be led by you, and it should be a complete explanation of your understanding of missing middle housing as it relates to your community. Teach us about your community. Teach us about your site. Basically, you know, that earlier presentation from the first time, and explain how the architecture begins to, in effect, address missing middle housing as a solution for your community, for that site, and explain that solution. You can do that in plans and sections and site sections and elevations, models, all of the sort of arrows, right, that you have in your quiver are available to you. I'm not saying that the models have to be rendered or fully rendered, but I would say that the more you give, the better your conversation will be.
Okay.
Right? I also feel like this is the review that, you know, it's a really important one because it needs to be a fairly thorough and convincing understanding of the project and your site. So you need to be comprehensive, but at the same time, I realize that you're going to get input from individuals like our jurors, like Lindsay and like Michael and even me, that are going to ask you maybe to revisit this or double back on that, and give you, because we have another month after this, really, to recalibrate some thoughts and then move forward. But once we have Monday's review, we're in that express lane, right? We're flying, because we'll only really have about 3 weeks after that review, because you'll have the hell week to finish up the renderings and things like that.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Good.
Because I just want to know what I need to get done.
Sure.
Because I've been slow but steady, but definitely slow.
I had 25 conversations at the career fair today for UDM. And when I told Tracy, when I hustled home, that I only had 2 students tonight, she's like, great, you can relax, you know, before 7:30, right? And then I just got done talking to Adam, and he said, oh, I think Heather signed up for the 8 o'clock class. And I'm like, oh no, I'm fading fast. I gotta talk to Heather now. So I'm so grateful that you were able to do this on a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over anything, or are you good to go?
I guess maybe, I don't know. I'm struggling, I guess, right now. So I think it's just a matter of just being able to sit down and do it, and be able to have my weekend.
Right.
To get the plans and sections and elevations and
or
materials.
whatever you want to use. I think materials or colors that indicate materials can be a way, you know, you can be efficient and lean in the way you draw. You are kind of inherently like that anyways. You know how I feel about your graphic sensibility. But you know, I don't want, for instance, I think it's more important to show more things, more views of things, than it is to like do one really cool photo reel, knock our socks off, you know, V-Ray or Lumion rendering. That's not the point. The point is to get our critics and me to a moment, to a moment where, as you're presenting everything, we understand everything because you understand everything. You know the drill. You've been through this. You understand what I'm saying. You just have to make sure that you give yourself time to heal and stay healthy and time to do the work.
I know.
That's going to be really, really important for you in this last month.
Yeah. This has not been my year.
Well, I know that. I'm sensing that now. But I really, you're so deep into this now, right? Keep your eye on that prize. You're only 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away. You can do this.
Yeah. I can do this. Yeah.
Of course you can. Say, you know, damn it, I can do this. And right, thank you. And say, Mom, you know, hold all my calls. You know, make sure you leverage all of your friends and family to help you get through this. You're so close.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just wanted to know what I needed to get done.
Happy to tell you. Keep working.
I don't have a whole lot to show. What I've been doing is I've been taking the floor plans that I find on the internet and been putting them into their own separate Revit models to what is that called, to reference in, to be able to copy paste, so that if one thing is modified, then they're all modified.
I think the other aspect, I think, you know, in terms of your project, is the massing and the materials. So I would hope that you have an appetite to explore that as well and illustrate that. That's why I think the elevations and or sections will be useful. You'll get a lot of good feedback if you give us a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Drink lots of vitamin C.
Yeah.
Right. Get rid of that cold and stay healthy.
Yeah, I was homesick today from work, so.
Oh gosh.
That's why I was like, give me 5 minutes so we don't roll out of bed.
You're a hardworking soldier. Don't go back to work or go back to bed. You need to get well. If you don't have your health, you can't work. And if you can't work, you can't pay your bills. And if you can't pay your bills, you can't go to school.
Yeah.
But right now, Heather, school's kind of got to move to the front burner for you, despite the fact that you're sick. Remember what I said at the beginning. Don't get sick.
Yeah.
Right? This is why I said that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay.
I'm around this weekend if you have any questions or need to go over anything, okay?
I might email you some photos.
I'm happy to do that, as you know.
Okay.
Okay. Get well. Thanks, Heather.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.